ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मिलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरुवे नमः। श्रीचैतन्यमनोभीष्टं स्थापितं येन भूतले स्वयं रूप कदा मह्यं ददाति स्वपदान्तिकम्। वन्देऽहं श्रीगुरु श्रीयुत पदकमलं श्रीगुरुं वैष्णवांश्च श्रीरूपं साग्रजातं सहगण रघुनाथान्वितं तं सजीवं साद्वैतं सावधूतं परिजनसहितं कृष्णचैतन्यदेवं श्रीराधा कृष्णपदान् सहगण ललिता श्रीविशाखान्वितांश्च नमः ॐ विष्णुपादाय कृष्णप्रेष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदान्त स्वामिन्निति नामिने। नमस्ते सारस्वते देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात्य देश तारिणे। हे कृष्णा करुणा सिंधु दीनबंधु जगतपते गोपेश गोपिका कांत राधा कांत नमस्तुते। तप्त कांचन गौरांगी राधे वृंदावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये। वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यस्य कृपा सिन्धुभ्य एव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्त वृंद। हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे। Hare Krishna. So welcome to the Manah Shiksha series. Yesterday we began with the commentary of His Holiness Bhakti Vigyan Goswami Maharaj. So Maharaj just begins his essay in the first few paragraphs, how the mind is being addressed by Raghunath Das Goswami, or very crude way he's addressing his mind. You are bathing in ass urine, that too a great ass urine, in the form of kapata and putti nati. And especially why ass urine has been ass has been selected by Raghunath Das Goswami, because it's highly acidic among all other urines. Urine is acidic, but ass urine is more acidic. And Raghunath Das Goswami is having a dialogue with his mind. You are burning yourself and you're burning me. Instead of that, let us bathe in the nectar of Gandharva Giridhara, Pada. Prema Vilasa. Let us bathe in that nectar. And he's instructing him. So then Maharaj goes into what is deception and cheating. What exactly is deception and cheating? And he quotes, this Shivram Swami Maharaj also had spoken, that Kaitav Dharma, Artha, Kama, Moksha, these are all cheating. Because the center is I. It's egocentrism. And the Jiva Swarup is to serve the Lord. And when we focus on serving our body or interest related to body, then it is cheating. That is the definition of cheating. And the highest level, worst level is the desire for moksha. And if you want to understand the absolute truth, Satyam Param, then as long as we have this propensity to cheat, we cannot approach the absolute truth, because truth and lies are opposite of each other. And the greatest sin is cheating. That is the worst sin. That's also Bali Maharaj says that. And what is the role of the mind in cheating? Because his mind has desires which are like fire, they never get satiated. And the mind externally might, we might be doing something, but internally it might be burning in the fire. And that burning is like the burning of the burning urine. Instead of that, choose to bathe in the love of Radha and Krishna. And traditionally in the Varnashram, uh, one of the, Kshatriyas, if they cheat, then they are bathed in ass urine and they are barred forever. And everyone knows he's a rascal, he's a cheater. So that was a heavy punishment for cheating. And Pranadas was recommending here, warning us not to cheat, not to cheat. So this is how the mind plays the role in cheating. And again here, the root is we need to destroy pride, which was spoken in the first verse. Now we are going to begin with this particular theme from section was from paragraphs 14 to 30, which is pretense. You pretense. This is very, very interesting. And you will like this. It is pride that makes us pretend. So the root is pride. Srila Sanatan Goswami in his Hari Bhakti Vilas mentions that if one is able to uproot all the anarthas, sarva anartha bhuyascha, if one is able to uproot all the anarthas, but if he has not uprooted the anartha of pride, then it's not of much use. And pride is the root of all other anarthas, he says. Pride is the root of all anarthas. And one should endeavor to uproot this anartha in the form of pride, which is like the hog of a stool, he says. it's a stool, it's a hog stool, he says. So this is also what Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur in his bhajan, Dushta Manah, Pratishta Asha Sukera Vishta. He says the desire for fame is, trying to take pleasure in Sukera Vishta, pleasure of it's like the Pratishta Asha is like you're tying a turban, and that turban is filled with the stool of a hog, and you're tying around. Yeah. So pride is such a thing. It is a root of all anarthas. So it is pride that makes us pretend. Because we are constantly putting on guises, we cannot understand or see God. We have put a guise of some other identity. And because of that, we cannot see God. But our real identity is what? Jivera Sarupai Krishnara Nityadas. We are unable to see him in the heart of other living beings. We can't see how he manifests himself outwardly. We can't hear his voice within. We cannot understand how he speaks to us through the mouth of our spiritual master. So because we have put these guises, we cannot see him in the heart of all living beings, or how he manifests outwardly, how we can hear his voice, how he's speaking to us. We just can't see all these things. It is very difficult for us to actually recognize Krishna. Krishna can be only recognized by Premanjana. Although God is everywhere and there is nothing easier than seeing him, we cannot, because pride does not allow us to do so. It's an interesting meditation, this statement. God is everywhere. Krishna in the Gita is telling, Bhumi Rapo Analo Vayu Kham Manor Buddhirevacha. So this earth, water, fire, air, ether, we are surrounded, because it is the energy of the Lord. The energy is not different from the energetic. Shaktiman and Shakti, they are not different. In that sense, we are seeing Krishna everywhere, and yet see the power of Maya and illusion because of this ahankar, which is also a manifestation in the form of pride, that we don't see Krishna. Although Krishna is everywhere around us, we are surrounded by Krishna everywhere, but still we don't see him. Still we don't see him. So this is how powerful is Maya or illusion. In the Ramayana, there is a remarkable episode when Sugriv sends Hanuman to find out who Ram is. So because we put guises and we cannot recognize Krishna. So there is a beautiful story. Maharaj illustrates this story, very, very interesting story. And it will be, when I first time read this, I was in a state of shock. So let us hear this. Ram and Lakshman appeared near Mount Rishamukh, where Sugriv, with his retinue, was hiding with a handful of monkeys who had remained faithful to him. For fear of his brother Vali, he was hiding there. When Sugriv saw Ram, he was terribly scared, saying, "Who's that?" "It must be someone sent by Vali to kill me." He said to Hanuman, "Go and find out who it is. You are smart. Take on a disguise and pretend to be a Brahmana." Hanuman disguised himself as a Brahmana with mala in hand and appeared before Ram and asked, "Who are you? Why are you here?" Ram told Lakshman, "A good man has come to us, so please explain to him who we are." Lakshman explained to Hanuman, "This is Ram, the son of King Dashrath. Due to some misunderstanding, he was exiled to the forest, and I am with him because I am his eternal servant." Hanuman slapped his forehead in consternation, in real regret. What is this? Because since early childhood, he had been chanting the name of Ram, 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 Hare, Ram, Hare, Ram. He asked Lord Ramchandra, "Ram, it is you, my Lord. I have been worshipping you since childhood, always chanting your holy name. You have appeared before me directly. So please tell me why I did not recognize you." The Lord replied, "How could you have recognized me? Look at the disguise you have on. Ye yata mam prapadyante tams tathaiva bhajamyaham." You have come to me in a false disguise, pretending to be someone else. So how could you have recognized me? That is a very important lesson for all of us. As long as we pretend to be someone else, we won't be able to recognize Krishna, even if he is standing right in front of us. Beautiful, story to narrate how when he put a disguise and pretend to be someone else, then we cannot recognize the Lord. So, what is the real, our, I mean, what we should come before the Lord as, and then we can recognize the Lord. How we should come before the Lord, and then we can recognize the Lord. What is our real, Hanuman had put the disguise of a Brahmana and approached, and he could not recognize. So if you want to recognize the Lord, how we should come before him? Anyone? Any thought about it? Yes, Dr. Archana Mataji.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji Dandot Pranam. It's just a case, dasanu dasanu das, with the humility.
Yes. We have to come before the Lord as the servant and the servant of the servant of the Vaishnavas. Then we can recognize the Lord. So there's an interesting also event or an actual historical event which happened. Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur had taken a vow to chant I think Dashakoti Nam. Every day he was saying 3 names, just like last time. So after Haridas, it was only Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur who had taken such a vow. And it took him 9 years, 4 months to complete this vow. And he had made a small hut on the bank of Ganga, very close to his headquarters, that is the Gaudiya Mutt, Sri Chaitanya Gaudiya Mutt, where there are the Gandharva Giridhari deities. Interestingly, the headquarters of Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur Mutt, the deities, presiding deities are Gandharva Giridhari. So he was doing his bhajan, and even when it used to rain and he had a thatched hut, the water used to drip, he used to hold the umbrella and sit and chant. And he ate only an amount of food. The food used to be on the ground, on the cowdung ground, and he used to lick it only once, and whatever is to come in that was full, that's it. Such severe austerities he did, and that's how he established the Gaudiya Mutt, and that's how the Gaudiya Mutt spread like wildfire within few years. So Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur once came to take darshan of his deities, and he was standing in the corner a little far away, and he was trying to have darshan of the deities from far, and that was from the corner. And somebody was taking darshan. I don't know who it was. It was not a devotee at least. And he said, why are they there in the corner? You cannot see the Lord. Come here right in front and stand in the front of the deities and you can have darshan. So Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur mentioned that, what really darshan means. With his eyes, how can you see God? If God sees us, I should come in the mood of, to let God see me. Then I can see God. So I want to see the Lord. Sometimes we want to be in the front so that I can see the Lord. But what you can see with these eyes, the eyes are charma chakshu. They are made of the bhautik 24 elements. What we can see only, material elements. But the Lord is all spirit. So if we have the mood that let the Lord see me, and then by the Lord's mercy, then we can see the Lord. So that's what also, is being pointed out here in the story of Hanuman. So Hanuman could not recognize his Lord because he had put a guise of someone else, and he could not recognize his worshipable Lord. It's a very, very important lesson for all of us. And as long as we pretend to be someone else and not our constitutional position as, the Lord is, Drishta, and we are Drishya. We are to be seen by the Lord. So that's why Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur had this famous statement: don't try to see God. Serve in such a way that God would like to see you. Suppose there is a big company and there is a labor. He's, he's a simple labor in the factory who's working very sincerely. And, the manager who is on the floor, who's managing the entire floor, he is very impressed. The manager has access to the boss who sits in his AC cabin on the top there. And this labor has no, authority to go and meet the CEO of the company and have direct face-to-face darshan of him in one sense, I'm just saying. But if the manager says, this labor, he very sincerely endeavors and does his job very meticulously and finishes his job, whatever task is given. So hearing this, sometimes the boss might come down to actually meet the labor. So that's how he can see. So similarly, Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur made that famous statement: don't try to see God, serve in such a way that God would like to come and see you. Okay, any questions regarding this till now? Yes, Virendra Yadav Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu Dandapranam. Prabhu, just one clarification. We see Bhaktisiddhanta Thakur's austerity that in one case he is doing such severe austerity, and other case we see Prabhu he was, I think, I don't know, Prabhu. He was using luxurious car. He is the same. I think Bhakti will not. No.
Yeah, he had a Rolls Royce. And
How
only
to
two.
understand?
How to understand is that, when you're completely renounced, anasakta vishayan. First thing is, Rupa Goswami is saying anasakti, you have to be completely detached. Yatha ramba upayanjitam. And you have to use that in the service of the Lord. And how it has to be used? Nirbande Krishna Sambande. It has to be nirbandha, incessantly, always being used in the Lord. So great acharyas can do that. But first we have to ask, are we anasakta? Anasakta means you have attained the level of asakti. You have attained deep attachment for Krishna and you are completely detached from matter. Do we fit in that platform? We might say the mobile I'll use it in Krishna's service, but are you detached? You try to see if one day, you don't have the mobile with you, you cut off from yourself from one day from a mobile, and you see you'll all start getting withdrawal symptoms. And you see if you feel ecstasy because, mobile is not there with me, I'm feeling blissful. But no, your consciousness will go there. That means, you're attached to it. And are you continuously using it only in the service of Krishna? Or sometimes you're using for your other purposes. So we don't fit in that category, and that's why Yukta Vairagya is, a principle which is misunderstood and not applied properly. So we have to be careful about it. That's the point. Is it clear?
Thank you, Prabhu. Thank you very much.
So Hanuman could not recognize because he had put a disguise. Accordingly, Raghunath Das Goswami is urging us to give up cheating. He says that if you want to cheat Krishna, then Krishna will necessarily have to cheat you and deprive you of the opportunity to see and recognize him. Giving up cheating is the vital stage in spiritual life, the nature of which we must clearly understand. This stage is called Anartha Nivritti. So it's a very vital stage. Only when we give up the cheating propensity, then, Anartha Nivritti can happen. Yes, Dr. Archana Mataji.
Prabhuji, what do you mean by giving up cheating?
The propensity to, put on a disguise and, pretend to be something else and not being sincere about it, So the propensity to cheat is very, very, very deep rooted. It's very deep rooted in the condition. So, because we have come here by to become joyous. So that's why we should be careful. Yes, Rasparani Mataji.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji Dandavat. This is just a follow-up question to what Mataji asked just now. That when we talk, like when we listen to the Katha in the Ramayana also, so we can see that Hanuman had actually disguised as a Brahmana. So this is where we can actually see and understand. But in our daily life, how can we understand that we have disguised? Because we always feel that we are our own selves. Like if there is any cheating propensity, how we can introspect our own self.
First thing is we need to understand that we have already worn a disguise of, of the false identity in the form of ahankar. in the form of ahankar, that I am this body or I am the enjoyer in this world. So from there, we have taken up to Krishna consciousness, but this identity is there. And what is Krishna consciousness? Krishna consciousness is very simple. That I is there. I ahankar. Arjuna, I will not fight. That is what he says in the Bhagavad Gita in the first 1 or 2 chapters. I don't want to fight. And the end, he says, I will do your work. Karishye vachanam tava. He himself says that. So Prabhupada says, what is the difference between that I, what he said first, and at the end of the Gita, I? That I is, he's situated in that his actual identity as Jivera Sarupoy, Krishna and Nityadas. But that I, what he spoke before, and he was arguing with Krishna, why are you engaging in the ghastly war? If you want, you kill all these, you are Madhusudan, you are Arisudan, you are Janardhan, So that I was based on a false identity. So basically, spiritual life is nothing but changing our, misconception of the identity of I, that I am so and so, I am whatever, because of avidya, we have this identity of being an enjoyer, to the identity of that I am Krishna's servant. So we begin like this, but only this ahankar is destroyed at the end of asakti. Avidya gets destroyed at the end of asakti and beginning stages of bhava. So we have to die twice if we want to attain the Lord. First, our death of the false identity should happen, and then the death of the body. Then we can attain Krishna. So this is what is the whole purification we have to go through. I hope it is clear.
Yes, Prabhuji, thank you.
Yeah. So only when we, cross this anarth nivritti stage and come to the stage of nishtha, then we become self-realized and I understand our identity. That's why Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur, when he used to, some of his disciples or all of his disciples used to offer him obeisances, he used to say, Dasosmi, I am your servant. That is how Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur used to address each of his disciples, that I am your servant. That is our real identity. Initially in spiritual life, we are extremely enthusiastic, feeling that this is exactly what we need, especially if we came to Krishna consciousness after having suffered or having been disillusioned in material life. We think that the beginning attraction and ecstasy will last forever. At some point, this ecstasy is over, and we are faced with our gross and subtle anarthas, preventing us from truly seeing or feeling God. So initially that feeling and experience, what we all come across in Krishna consciousness, we are all like pure devotees. And we think we have become pure. We see everyone, all the Vaishnavas, they are all pure devotees. And we are floating in the ocean of nectar of Krishna consciousness. But very soon, it fades away. And why? Because of the purification of the heart, the anarthas are coming out now. And now we are facing these anarthas. And we start seeing fault in Vaishnavas. We see fault in so many things. So all this is part of anarth nivritti. Raghunath Das Goswami is urging us to watch our motives in order to eliminate our anarthas. In a number of lectures, Srila Prabhupada very easy defines anartha nivritti. He says you have stopped smoking. That is already one anartha less. These cigarettes are definitely anartha. There's nothing of value in them. You have given up meat eating, another anartha less. You have removed the desire for gross sex, and you have given up gambling. 2 more anarthas gone. In the beginning, On the gross level, we get purified. Now, this is a very, very important thing for us to understand. And initially, those who take up to Krishna consciousness, they give up meat eating, they give up intoxication, they give up gambling, and they give up at least the gross sex. The subtle desire for sex is very deep rooted and it doesn't go so easily. And it's a battle because if you give up sex desire, then you're liberated, Prabhupada says. So we give up these gross anarthas and we feel a kind of purification. We're getting purified. But after 10, 15 years staying in Krishna consciousness, after at least 15 years, we feel that we are not moving ahead. We are not moving ahead. What is wrong? So externally, we have become a devotee in the form of, wearing a Vaishnava attire, having tilak, having kantimala, having always bead bag in your hand. But internally, we have to become a Vaishnava in the form of a Das Dasanudas, in our real identity as Jivera Swarupa Krishna. For that internal purification of the subtle anartha should happen. And this is not so easy. And this is what Manashiksha is dealing. Gradually, as the process of cleansing our mind goes on, new anarthas become obvious to us in the form of false motives and deception. The desire for recognition and honor is a most dangerous anartha because we begin seeking satisfaction of this anartha in the society of devotees. This is Pratishta Asha. And one might give up even the desire for gross sex. But Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur mentions that there is a subtle sex in the form of enjoying for, name and fame. Name and fame is subtle sex, in fact, at one level. So this is the most dangerous anartha. And as long as we don't give it up, we are still wearing a pretense of something else. As long as we are respected, we think we do not care whether we are respected or not. Yes, Mataji.
Mahaprabhuji, how do we take this when we are in the Grahastha life? Because suppose we are into, let us say, a job or a business. So there the whole environment is such that we have to keep glorifying our work and whatever we are doing so that we can go ahead there. And at that point of time, it is very difficult to, because we have to make deliberate efforts to showcase whatever we are doing. At that point of time, how do we maintain our consciousness?
Okay, so there are two things here to be understood that, when we are promoting our business or promoting our what we are doing, so we are speaking about it, but that is, that has nothing to do with, that is material. And of course, that also can lead to pride and all, but usually it is, it is meant to, get our, maintenance done. And there is nothing wrong in it. But here we are speaking of especially that you want, because you're well recognized devotee, you're a good speaker, and you want now people should glorify you and recognize how great speaker you are. And when they come and glorify you, then your, pride, how it works, when somebody comes and glorifies you, the ahankar is fed. And this is positive pride. You become more, the ahankar inflates, you can say. And then, because you're well respected and you're being glorified, somebody comes and criticizes you, immediately the ahankar goes and defends. How dare you tell, you don't know, you don't recognize me? I'm a very senior devotee, I'm a great kathakar. So you immediately flare up. You flare up. And, so that's also negative pride. Now, the false ego has gone on defense. So that means you're still carrying a false identity. You're still carrying a false identity. So in the material realm, it is there, but that is not really a great obstacle. But in the spiritual aspect, that is a real obstacle. So I have a very close friend, and he's a wonderful preacher. And many years back, he was he's now well recognized preacher all over the world. So he was personally sharing, and he was saying that he had a Bhagavatam class, and he relished preparing the Bhagavatam class, and he gave the class as a service, and he relished himself while giving the class, and devotees also relished it. So they all came and said, what a wonderful class it was. So he took a little pleasure in that. So the next time he had a class, now he was preparing not to serve and please Krishna, but now he's saying that if I tell this point, maybe the devotees will glorify me more. So with this intention and motive, he prepared and he gave the class. It was a good class, but nobody came and told anything. And then he was in his consciousness checking, why did nobody not come and glorify me? So then he checked his motives. Oh, I am doing this for some recognition. And that is real purification, what we need to do. Recently, I was in a train ride from Delhi to Mathura, and I did not have a confirmed seat. I had a general seat, and I boarded in the third AC because I needed a lot of rest because I had a long journey in the night. So I wanted to take good rest and also study. So I had to confirm, upgrade my ticket to third AC. So I just sat in one corner seat, the first row itself, 71. And a businessman came and sat opposite to me, and he immediately said, Hare Krishna. So I'm also a devotee of Krishna, he said. I said, oh, it's good, And, it was his birth. And I just sat and, I just heard him. And I came to know just by his demeanor that although he's saying Hare Krishna, he's not from ISKCON. He's not from ISKCON. He's not connected to ISKCON. And then he said, oh, you can sit here. You can sit here. I said, I have to just confirm my seat. When the TT comes, I'll confirm it. There were a lot of seats. I knew there were some 50 seats still in that bogies. And I did not online buy the ticket because why to unnecessarily waste additional money, because you can upgrade it. So after I did not speak to him because I knew that, he had some concocted philosophy. So I did not speak. I was just studying. After some time, he spoke to me and he told what, you have, different calendar, Ekadasi, you follow different calendar. Outside world, they follow different calendar. Raksha Bandhan is again, there are clashes. This doesn't matter. This all is leading to confusion. You have to go by your mood. Ultimately, the Lord is in the heart, and I have my own realizations of Krishna, and I have experienced Krishna and all he said. So I would immediately detect that this is all, Sahajism. It's all Sahajism. If somebody says that I am able to directly reciprocate with Krishna and I can directly experience Krishna without following a path, and especially having a spiritual master, a bona fide spiritual master, it is all false. So I just heard him, and then I really needed to take rest because I was extremely tired. And the TT almost 2 hours has still not come to confirm my birth. And there were other seats, so empty. But there were Matajis there, and I could not take rest. And there were kids who were already sleeping on the upper berth. And since he was sitting, I told him, can you just sit here so that I can lie down for some 15 minutes? I just requested him, and he flared up. Do you know, this is my seat. This is my seat. The way he said, this is my seat. You are sitting here. I have allowed you to sit, And you're telling me to go there? I said, even I can go there, but I just wanted to lie down. It's no problem, I said. And then the TT came there by the time and he confirmed me the next seat there. And then after that, he was hearing some lectures of some sadhu, and I know it was not a bona fide sadhu. And he did not look at me also. And I was, internally seeing how the false ego, flares up because of pride. You might think we are devotees, but when we are put to test, then we recognize that, so real devotee means, Amanina Manadin. I just requested him, you're sitting here, instead sit here. It was empty, but in the corner, Mataji was sitting. And this is my seat. And I was reflecting, how long is your seat? Till Mathura only. You don't own it, But, the way you speak, from that, you can understand. And then interestingly, I came by an auto. He also came by some other means. And we again met. And he did not want to look at me. But I offered my respects to him from the heart. So this is how, false ego manifests and we act on this false identity. I hope it is clear, Raspara and Mataji.
Yes, Prabhuji. Thank you.
Yes. As long as we are respected, we think we do not care whether we are respected or not. But as soon as someone passes by without greeting us, a storm rises in our mind. Who is he anyway? He is a junior devotee. Why didn't he say hello to me? What does he think he is? He's got nothing but anarthas, for he has no respect for the devotee. This is found in the community of devotees. I was sitting in one lecture and one devotee asked, the other day, I was passing by and I told this devotee Hare Krishna, and he did not, reply to me. Why did he not reply? That was his question. So he has heard that I offered him, I said Hare Krishna, he did not. He might be in some other world. We don't know. And our philosophy is what? Amanina manadena. So we sometimes give respect to others so that others give respect to us. And that is also, that, inflates our false ego. So this is how subtle these anarthas are. The moment we flare up, how dare he did not respect me? We flare up. And I don't know whether I narrated. We had a meeting, a very intense meeting with one of the sannyasis and the management. And I was in that meeting, and the meeting was in another house actually, which was 2 or 3 minutes away from the temple. And I was in the meeting, but I was told to go and get some papers. So I just straight went from there to the ashram to get the papers. And one devotee, he only on the festivals he comes, he greeted me Hare Krishna. But because I was absorbed, in the discussion of the meeting and I had to get those documents, I did not recognize. And I went, got the papers, came back. And then again, I was sent to get some more papers. And this devotee said again Hare Krishna to me. And I still did not recognize because my consciousness was absorbed in that discussion. And after 2 hours, when the meeting was over and I was coming out, the festival was over and he was coming out. And he said Hare Krishna. And this time I said Hare Krishna. And immediately called me. He said, I told you twice Hare Krishna, but you did not respond. What is this? What do you think of yourself? So that were the words he said. And I humbly said, see, Prabhuji, I really did not know that you said Hare Krishna. Now when you said, I knew and I said. So, but this is how false ego comes. And this is because of pride. Pride means you need recognition. We want to be recognized. The subtle desire for recognition, in essence, is the same as the most subtle desire for sex. I told you, Pratishta Asha is a subtle sex. We want to be recognized and respected so that in one way or another, we are put in the center. We are put in the center. Another very important point we must understand is that sometimes anarthas come in subtle way. They come in subtle way. That is what deception is about. Sometimes our material attachments disguise themselves so well, it is impossible to recognize them. They may come in the form of some noble ideas or in the form of austerities in our service. For example, sometimes when we chant the holy name, we get distracted by some great revelation. And before we know it, this revelation has already distracted us from Krishna. So sometimes, we might think, while chanting, oh, I got a realization. And you stop your chanting and you start writing your reflections. Actually, when you're chanting Hare Krishna, whatever happens, you just hear the holy name. That's it. But these can be a kind of, disguises, which can come. Or is this, the voice of Krishna, or is it the mind's voice? All these can be distractions. And we sometimes get carried away by that. Yes, Lakshmi Narasimhan Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, sorry to interrupt you.
Yes.
Just a quick question. So can you please elaborate on this point, because I'm not getting this point. They may come in the form of some noble ideas or in the
Yes.
form of austerities. So what does that austerity or noble aid? Does it mean spiritual things or like in material things? Or
Even spiritual things, they might come as some spiritual things, and, and, it might feel that, looks like a good, like I'll tell you about, in the form of austerities first. Noble ideas are in the form of austerities in our service. So Bhaktivinoda Thakur mentions that there are different kinds of prayas. Prayas is endeavor. Atyahara prayas is there. So what kind of subtle kinds of prayas which are unfavorable for devotional service, Bhaktivinoda Thakur narrates there in his article on prayas. He has written an entire article. There can be karma prayas. Karma prayas means what, that, there is endeavor in the name of service, but it is more for one's own gross satisfaction or subtle. There can be karma prayas in varnashram, that I'm doing my duties as per varna and ashram, but I'm not developing attraction for Krishna Katha. Then it is, Shrama eva kevalam. Then there can be Ashtanga Yoga prayas. Then there can be Jnana prayas. And the most subtlest is also Vairagya prayas. Too much endeavor to do Vairagya in the bhakti line. So, once I just spoke to one devotee. I asked him, how are you doing in your spiritual life? And he just said, I only eat once a day. And I do get up very early in the morning. All these activities you are speaking about, his extreme austerities. But I was reflecting, but what this has to do with bhakti? In bhakti, we should do more bhakti activities. And by doing that bhakti activities, Vairagya automatically is a byproduct. But if we start doing too much of Vairagya, then that can be the subtle material, attachments, which are like, subtle deviations. These can deceive us. These are deceptions. So one devotee told me about noble ideas. Let me give you an example. He told, let us now raise funds by having the Govinda, and to build the Govinda restaurant, I will raise funds by, taking sweet orders from a industrialist for, they have their Deepavali. They distribute sweets to their factory employees. So we will take that orders, collect huge funds, and with that we build the Govindas. So he came up with this noble idea. And I heard it. And then he started endeavoring to get orders and then prepare it and then go and distribute it and collect the funds. And one day afternoon I was taking rest and he came inside our room and he told he was on his beads, he was exhausted and he kept his bead bag. Why the hell did I take up this project? Why the hell did I take up this project of building the Govinda? Because he could not chant his rounds. So in the name of service also you come up with some noble ideas and you end up in karma prayas, too much of karma prayas. And that is why we can get distracted. And especially here, this distraction can happen in the form of revelations while chanting of the holy names also. So that is what it means. I hope it is clear, Lakshmi Narasimhan Prabhuji.
Thank you.
Yeah. Therefore, we must understand that all these anarthas or material attachments we face in the process of cleansing the heart will take very perverted forms. Arjuna's attachments came to him in the form of compassion and love for his spiritual master, which Arjuna thought was very noble. Katam Bhishmamaham Sanke Dronam cha Madhusudana. Ishubi Pratiyotsyami Pujarva Arisudana. He is sarcastically addressing Krishna as, you are Arisudana. You are not the killer of Madhu who is coming in your dynasty. You are the killer of that Madhu demon. But you are telling me to kill my Guru and my worshipable grandfather Bhishma. So that, it came in the form of compassion and love. So Arjuna thought it was very noble. Although these are great souls, Guru ni hatvam hi mahanubhavan, hatvartha kama guruneva bunjiva bhogana rudhi pratignan. So when we study the whole psychology, what is going on in Arjuna thought, we might see it is very noble. From a material perspective, Arjuna leaving the battlefield, on grounds of compassion, of not to kill, his own relatives, from a material perspective, it would have been laudable by the entire world. Such a great, glorious is Arjuna. And forever he would have been glorified and, by the materialist, I mean. But that was an anartha. And Krishna knew that. Krishna recognized it. And he said, your so-called compassion is what? Anarya. Ajustam, aswargam. Very heavy Krishna was, there. However, Krishna saw this attachment as an anartha. So this kind of anarthas in the form of compassion also can come, but they can be anarthas. Compassion misapplied to the body, the gross or the subtle dress. And real compassion is for the soul, but sometimes it can be misapplied and it can come in the form of anartha. Anarthas came to Yudhishthira in the form of attachment to the fact that he had never lied. So Yudhishthira, when he was told that, that was the way you could have killed Drona, that you have to tell Ashwatthama is killed. So Yudhishthira thought for a moment, how can I tell lies? Because he's Dharmaraj. And because he hesitated to tell lies, for that moment, his Ratha, which was, never, touching the ground, it was always few feet up, it came down. It's not that because he told the lies. Actually, Bhima went and killed a elephant which had a name Ashwatthama. And then Ashwatthama, in a slow, softly he said, Ashwa Hata. Ashwa he did not, loudly say. Hata, Ashwatthama Hata. That's what Drona heard. That Ashwa he softly said. So he hesitated to tell that lies. And because of that, his Ratha came to the ground. And that was an anartha that was the way in which anartha came to Yudhishthir. In the Puranas, there is this recurring phenomena that the demigods worry when someone successfully engages in spiritual practice or some kind of austerity and start sending him various obstacles. Yes, this we know. Indra in his heavenly kingdom sent some apsara to distract the practitioner from his austerities. Sometimes Brahmachari think, why hasn't Indra sent me an apsara yet? Sometimes Brahmacharis think, I have been not sent by any apsara. Doesn't he see what progress I have made and the austerities I'm performing? But actually, Indra has sent us apsaras. Indra has actually sent us apsaras. You chant the Mahamantra and suddenly an apsara appears in your mind and starts dancing. She is sent by Indra because all the demigods are situated in our body and senses. When you are performing devotional service, all the distractions we are subject to are sent by the demigods. So continuously unlimited apsaras are, coming out from your mind. So, there is one most famous apsara called as Urvashi. What is the meaning of Urvashi? Anyone knows? Uru and Vashi. Just think about it. Urvashi is an apsara and Uru and Vashi. Urvashi. What does it mean? What is the meaning of this Urvashi? Anyone knows? Urvashi is an apsara. Ras Parain Mataji. Yes.
Prabhuji, I have read it somewhere. I may be wrong. So Urvashi, I think when Krishna and Arjuna were Narayan, that time Urvashi was this thing, and her part of Krishna's this thing, she was gone, and that's why she is known as Urvashi. So Krishna had said that if small a part of my body is such a beautiful this thing, apsara can come, then what apsaras can distract us? So that was the story. So I understood that Urvashi is.
In the Srimad Bhagavatam, this narration is there when Nar Narayan Rishi, who are none other than Krishna and Arjuna, were meditating in the Gandhaka mountains in the Himalayas. Indra sent apsaras to distract them. And Narayan manifested unlimited apsaras. And in these apsaras, the heavenly apsaras saw these beautiful apsaras, they were feeling very ashamed because they were like ugly like frogs. So the heavenly apsaras were like frogs compared to the apsaras created by the Lord himself because they were spiritual. And then, the Lord gave Indra as a gift this apsara called Urvashi. And it was produced by the Lord from his thighs. So Uru means thigh in Sanskrit, and Vashi means to sit on the thigh. And there is a device by this name. Anyone knows the device which I'm speaking about? Anyone knows what device I'm speaking about? With the name Uruvashi. In English also, it has the same meaning. Lakshmi Narasimhan Prabhuji. Yes.
Is it laptop, Prabhuji?
Yes, it is laptop. Lap means on the thigh. Top, you sit on the top, Vashi. So once a sannyasi was learning Sanskrit from a very renowned Sanskrit teacher, and the sannyasi had the laptop on his thighs, and this Sanskrit teacher told him why is Urvashi sitting on your thigh? The sannyasi was taken aback. Where is Urvashi here? And he meant the laptop. So subtle is this, understanding that when, somebody sits, especially a Mataji sits on the thigh of a person, it agitates. The sex desire gets agitated. That's why, Duryodhan told Draupadi, come and sit on my thigh. So the sex desire gets deeply agitated when somebody sits on the thigh. And for a kind information, if you keep your laptop on your thighs and work, you will become important, because the radiation which falls on your thighs, that kills all the cells on the thigh region, and you'll not be able to produce children. This is how technology we are using, but you have to be very, very careful. Even the mobile, if you keep in your pocket, it's going to, have radiation, and it's going to affect all your, it's going to affect the cells. That's why I never keep my mobile in my pocket at all. I keep it always, far away. I don't carry, when I carry it in my bag. I don't keep it in my pocket at all. So this is Urvashi. So Urvashis were sent, they're distractions, and we should not think about what an Apsara is. This is very important point. Sometimes obstacles can take on a very beautiful shape in the form of laptop and mobile, chanting with mobile. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu himself said, Na dhanam, na janam, na sundari, kavitam va jagadish kame. I do not want sundari in kavita. I do not want lovely words, lovely ideas and thoughts. When anarthas come in a gross form, they are not as dangerous as when they come in subtle form. As a result of deception, we lose the ability for introspection. Alexander Pushkin used to say, it is easy to deceive me, for I myself am glad to be deceived. There is no need for anyone to cheat me. I will cheat myself. People lose their ability for introspection and for self-analysis, so they start reassuring themselves that everything is fine when it is not. Sometimes you see that people are lying to themselves, but the defense is so dense that it is impossible to give them the opportunity to look at themselves from a different angle. That is the problem of deception. It sometimes is so deep that a person loses his ability to see their self-deception. When you tell a lie long enough, loud enough, it is taken as truth. That is why it is the duty of the devotee to be constantly introspective and ask how sincere I am. What are my motives? What drives me? At first, the tendency to deceive is exhibited in a harmless way. A person has been given extra change and he thinks a nice way to earn money. A nice way to earn money. You've been given extra change, and instead of returning it back, oh, please see that you have given more. Please take it back. But then you take it, oh, it's a nice way to earn. Sometimes a person jokes, and for the sake of being witty, he slightly exaggerates. Sometimes a person argues, and in the heat of the debate, he resorts to lies. Sometimes a person assigns to himself something that does not belong to him or speaks rudely. The acharyas say that all these actions are based on asat. They are based on sat. So all these three things, harmless way. I remember my neighbor, they are very rich, and backside they had a outhouse where a poor family stayed, and they were serving in the house because it was a very big house, and they were serving as maid servant, and her child, the family itself was taking care of their education. And later on, this child became a big robber. And asked him, what made you, to come to this serious step? He said that once while coming back from the school, he found a purse. And the moment he found the purse, he checked there was money, and he took that money and went to a hotel and ate some nice food. And then from there, it began in a harmless way. From there, he started going to the owner's house and robbing the money from the pocket. And from there, actually, one of the neighbor's house, he looted huge amount of money. And then he ran away and became a big thief. So we might begin with something small, and then it takes into a huge shape. We might joke something, and when you joke, others laugh. And when they laugh, you get a kind of intoxication. And now you want to tell more jokes so that people can laugh and people can recognize me. Sometimes, while speaking in a lecture, the highest sense gratification is, let me tell this joke in the lecture so that the Matajis can laugh in the lecture. And when they laugh, it gives us such intoxication. My goodness, that's the highest intoxication. When Duryodhana was in that palace, he could not recognize because it was built by Vishwakarma or Maya Danava. He thought it is water and he moved his dhoti up. But there is no water, and Draupadi laughed. And that insult Duryodhana could not bear. So similarly, when Matajis laugh in the class when you tell a joke, that gives a lot of sense gratification. And in the heat of debate, sometimes you suddenly resort to lies. So all these are what? Asat. So in the next class, we will begin the path of deceit. Okay, any questions? I just shot a little more time because I just wanted to finish this theme. And there were some important questions also. Any questions, any clarifications? Yes, Dr. Archana Mataji.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji. Whatever points we have discussed today, so we are living these things day in, day out. So it's very dangerous for us then.
Yeah, first is that we recognize it. We become conscious and aware about it. That is the first step. And then when we meditate and reflect and introspect, that is the purification of the heart. And then we start acting sincerely and with simplicity. Then that is real purification. And then that is, what Vaishnavism is all about. So Maharaj is going to speak about what is simplicity and what is duplicity. It will come up in the next theme. So kindly hold on till then. Any other clarifications anyone has? Okay, so we'll stop here. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Srila Raghunath Das Goswami ki jai. Sri Manah Siksa ki jai. Hare Krishna.